Turnover is a really big issue for a lot of people who are new to management to deal with. It's a big issue for a lot of companies in general. It's an especially huge issue for the field of human services. So there are a million reasons as to why someone might leave their job, but the three most common reasons that you're going to hear is a lack of challenge, a lack of pay, or I don't like my boss. Those are the three most common things you're going to hear. It might not be those words exactly, but it'll be something that stems from one of those three. So if you want to reduce your retention issue and you want to keep people happy so they stay with your company for longer, there are a couple different ways to do that. So let's look at each of those. A lack of challenge is what happens when you get someone hired in a position, they learn how to do their job, and you expect them to do their exact same job for years straight with no change whatsoever. And that is something that causes massive burnout. It's something that causes dissatisfaction with your job and your company. Look at it this way, if it was your job to read the dictionary, I'll pay you, $100 an hour to do it, good pay, but I expect you to do it for 40 hours a week for the next 8 years of your life. You might start off strong. You might do it for a couple days, great, a couple weeks maybe, a couple months, sure. But to do that, spend 40 hours of your week, which is like 35 to 40% of your awake hours, every single week for years at a time, doing that same repetitive task that you've already gotten done, and it's not benefiting you any further significantly or in any way that's meaningful to you, you burn out, you lose interest, you stop caring, it's boring. You don't want to spend your life doing that. That's where you have a lot of people who are like, there's no purpose in my work. I don't feel like I'm accomplishing anything even though I'm actually getting my job done, which is why they're unsatisfied, which is why they leave. So to solve the challenge problem, you need to constantly be giving people something that's pushing them in ways that are outside their comfort zone. Give them new skills to learn, give them more responsibilities, give them new management opportunities, or throw them on the spot and say, hey, I want you to come up with something that will make our team or our store or our company even better. It can be whatever you want. It can be whatever works for your team and that person, but you need to have something that's constantly pushing them, because when they master and I'm not saying you have to completely master it, when they have their job responsibilities down to the letter to where they don't have to think about it anymore, you don't have to worry about them anymore, if they know how to do their stuff, that is when that burnout starts. That is when that dissatisfaction begins, because it's tough to find a purpose in something that's so repetitive and has kind of lost all challenge. So that's how you deal with challenge, is you give them hard stuff to do. A lot of people are worried that, well, if I give them too hard of stuff, they're going to get upset and quit. That might happen, but I can guarantee you that if you don't give them hard stuff and they get bored, they're either going to quit or they're going to stay and become miserable and toxic, and a lot worse of a scenario for you. So that's how you deal with challenge. When it comes to pay, I'm going to use human services for the rest of the examples here. Human services has really terrible pay for their entry-level employees. It's not any organization's fault. All of their funding is controlled through their state government. So basically the state gives you a budget and you have to work with what's in your budget. And a lot of the times that means people are getting paid $12, $13 an hour to work with adults or children who have a lot of behavioral issues, might have substance abuse issues, might get aggressive, might get violent, might be just very difficult to work with. And when you're working in human services, you're working long hours with those people who might be really difficult to work with. And it's tough to, go in and day out with, somebody insulting your family, taking a swing at you, and then calling your boss and telling you what a horrible person they are. And to put up with all that and only get paid, $12, $15 an hour. So a big reason as to why a lot of human services employees state that they're leaving is they don't get paid enough. And a lot of companies try to address this by either, one, saying that, well, we don't have any control over your pay. And while that's true, you're kind of dodging the issue. You're just saying, not our problem, go take it up with your state. And a lot of employees won't respond to that because they feel like they're having a problem, and you're just saying, well, nothing I can do about it. So you're leaving them out, to fend for themselves, which doesn't, put you in a very good spotlight in their eyes. Another way that a lot of companies try to address this is they'll lobby their state and try to get more funding. Sometimes it works, and you increase that $12.50 to $14 an hour. that's a significant, percentage change, but practically speaking, 14's not good enough. You can't, really work a full-time job, get paid $14 an hour, and expect to, be able to pay your mortgage or pay your car bill or any of that stuff. So it's still not enough. So a lot of companies just kind of lose hope, and they'll say, well, there's nothing we can do about it. And I think that's not the correct way to address that problem. If your employees are unhappy with their pay, you basically can give them two options. First, you're going to tell them that, hey, you're in an entry-level position in a human service job. You're not going to make a ton of money. That's like going to a volunteer, service and then complaining when you don't get a paycheck. A lot of people just don't have the correct expectations. They think that they can make $18, $19, $20, $25, $30 an hour working entry-level in human services. And until that misinterpretation of reality is addressed, they're going to always see you as a bad guy because you're not paying them that $30 an hour. So have that upfront, honest conversation with them and say, hey, it doesn't matter where you go. This is an entry-level position in human services. You're not going to be making, $50,000 a year. You're lucky if you're going to make 15. Now, I know that that's not a lot, and I don't think that you should stay in this position for the next, 20 years of your life. This position is an opportunity for you to get experience to move up to the next level. So you do 1 or 2 years of this groundwork, putting in your dues, learning the stuff that you need to know to successfully operate in this environment and with these individuals. Then when you're ready, you get promoted to a management position, which puts you in that $40,000, $50,000, range. And then when you master that, you move up to, the next step position. But essentially, use this as an opportunity to climb the ladder. Don't assume that just because you put in 8 years on the first step of the ladder, that's going to make a significant change to your pay, because it's not. Use this to constantly go up to the next step if you want to make more money. If you don't want to keep making, if you don't want to keep going the promotional route to get more money, then your next option is to pick a different field that is paying what you're looking for. If you want $25 an hour for an entry-level position, there are some jobs that you could do that in. And if you really want to switch to those jobs, I'll do anything that I can to support you. Stay here for 6 months, get team building experience. Stay here for 6 months, learn crisis management. Stay here for 6 months, learn how to deal with difficult individuals. You develop that skill here for 6 months, and you go to an engineering firm and you say, yeah, I bet none of you have ever dealt with, actual human crisis or actual team crises. And they're going to say, no, we haven't. You must have a lot more experience in that than we do. And that's a very valuable skill, especially in addition to this particular team. Like, we'll give you a chance. That's an option as well. Either, again, keep climbing up the promotional ladder or develop some skills here that are going to get you in the door somewhere else. And a lot of places are very resistant to that idea because they think, well, we don't want our employees to leave and go somewhere else. And when that comes up, you really need to ask yourself, what are your expectations for your employees? Do you really expect that your employees are going to start with you, earn $13 an hour, stay with you for the next 9 years, and eventually get bumped up to $15.50? And they're going to be satisfied with that? And that's just not realistic. It's not beneficial for you or for the employee. For a lot of those entry-level positions, you should be looking at 1, 2, 3 years max. At the 3-year point, I want you to either try to get a promotion here, or I want you to go somewhere else that you will get, or that you will get a better spot in, because I don't want you to waste your time and your talent at this position when you've already, mastered the skills because you've been here for 3 years. So that's how you handle pay. You tell them to either keep climbing the ladder or use this opportunity to build skills that'll get you in the door somewhere else that will pay you what you need. Last thing that makes people want to leave their jobs is they don't like their boss. And that really just kind of breaks down to relationships. A lot of people think that when you get in the management position, okay, these people work for me, I just tell them what to do, they do it, and that equals success. And when you get into that management position and no one's ever told you otherwise, you get a real hard reality check where, hey, guess what? No one cares about what you're ordering, and if you're going to act like a jerk, they're just going to quit and leave and go somewhere else, and then you're out half a team. What you really need to understand as a manager is that your job is to make your team successful. You're not going to do that by giving orders. You're going to do that by supporting them to be successful. And the most foundational thing that needs to be in place for that to happen is you need to have a good relationship with them. You need to trust them, they need to trust you. You need to have open communication with each other. You need to be able to rely on each other. You need to be able to say, hey, these are the expectations. If you don't think you're going to be able to meet them, come and let me know and we'll problem solve together. Otherwise, I'm going to trust you to go do your thing. And a lot of people just don't have that relationship with their direct reports. And it's that relationship piece that makes people want to get out the door. You can be paying people $30 an hour for an entry-level human service position. They can be getting all the challenge that they are looking for. But if their boss is someone who they cannot stand, they're not going to stay. They're going to go. It doesn't matter if they take a 50% pay reduction. At least they can go be somewhere that they don't want to burn the building down. And a lot of people just don't understand that. They think that, well, fine, go ahead and go. I'll just hire someone else to replace you. That's not how it works. You can try to hire someone else, but what's to say they won't be out the door just as fast? All of your competition is hiring. They are all hiring for positions that your team wants. They can go anywhere. They can interview for 2 or 3 weeks and get a dozen different job offers. They're not worried about finding another job because the jobs are not in demand. Like, they're everywhere. Good employees are what's in demand, and if you have them, it's your job to get them to stay and be happy. And you do that by developing good relationships with them. You make them happy to come into work and see you every day. You make them excited to work with you on projects. You make them think about you when they're with their friends and they're like, oh yeah, my mentor taught me this, or my boss is really cool, let me tell you the story. When they hold you in that high regard, that is what their motivation to stay is. I promise you, I have worked at a place where I've gotten paid about $9 or $10 an hour working with incredibly difficult individuals where I'm like getting stools thrown at me and swings taken left and right and all kinds of, stuff. And I stay because I love my team and I love my supervisors and I love the learning opportunities that I'm getting. I love the challenges that I'm getting. I love that relationship that when everything is going south and we're in crisis mode, I can trust you and you can trust me. That is worth quite a bit more than a pay bump to me because it makes me satisfied with my job and my life. And if I didn't have that and they paid me $5 more an hour, I'd probably leave that job pretty quick because I'd be miserable. And it's just not worth it. So those are the 3 issues that cause people to leave their work. A lack of challenge, which you solve by challenging them. Give them more stuff that puts them outside their comfort zone. A lack of pay, which you solve by being real with them and say, hey, you're not going to make it rich in this position, but what you can do is continue climbing up the ladder, which will get you more money that you're looking for, or you can use this time to learn skills that'll get you into other companies that will make you that money, if that's what's important to you. Either way, it's beneficial for you to do good work here. Third one is their boss. No one wants to work for a jerk. Even if someone is willing to tolerate you as a poor boss, it's only a matter of time before they leave, or if they are going to stay, they're going to become a huge source of toxicity and force other people to leave around them. You do not benefit when you have poor relationships with your direct reports and your team. You have to have good ones. And if you don't have good ones, show them that you're making an active effort on fixing it. That's how you fix turnover. I've done it multiple times for multiple companies. Everyone's always resistant, like, I don't want to have a good relationship with Amy because she doesn't like me. Or I don't want to tell Jack that he can make more somewhere else. I don't want to do these things. And to that, I'd say you don't have to do these things. You can keep doing what you're doing. But when you're losing 30 employees a year and you're only pulling in 25, you don't get to complain because you had the solution right here. You just didn't like it, so you didn't implement it. But meanwhile, while you're doing that, all your competitors are learning this, and they are going to retain their employees because they know how to fix those really common problems. Thanks.